Good evening. A nation's grief has turned to heartwarming scenes of celebration for one of the greatest leaders the world has ever seen. Nelson Mandela will be the focus of 10 days of official mourning in South Africa, with preparations underway for a week-long farewell.
As the initial shock of Mandela's death subsided, mourning here turned to celebrations. Celebrations of this revered man's life. There was chanting and dancing in the streets of Johannesburg, where doves were released into the sky. There was dancing in the streets too of Soweto, where Mandela spent his early years. The first time in almost 100 years that South Africa was waking up without Nelson Mandela. Last night, his coffin was seen leaving his home, draped in the national flag. Today, President Jacob Zuma visited the house to pay his respects and later led tributes to the former leader.
We'll always love Madiba for teaching us that it is possible to overcome hatred and anger in order to build a new nation and a new society.
And those tributes kept on coming from across South Africa.
He transcended race and class. We pray that he will rest in peace and rise in glory.
The United States, where the flag at the White House flew at half-mast.
He once told me that he lived on hatred when he went into prison. He said after about 11 years he realized that they'd already taken about everything they could take from him except his mind and his heart. He said, I realized that those are things you have to give away, and I decided not to give them away.
And from around the world.
Now we must develop determination or enthusiasm to carry his spirit. That's very important.
Tears were shed on the streets of London, thousands of kilometres away. There was dancing in the streets of Paris. His face splashed across the front pages in almost every language. Silence too at the New York Stock Exchange as the flag was lowered to half-mast at the United Nations. Inside, the news had just been delivered. A note was passed to the Argentinian ambassador. She paused for a second, then called for a moment's silence.
Le pido un minuto de silencio.
The news was broken to some of Britain's royal family during the premiere of a new film about Mandela, the Queen unusually reflective.
It was extraordinary because William and Catherine were at the film last night. I was like, you know, which is the film about his life.
And the news came halfway through.
I think so. Well, it came right at the end. Well, I heard it about 10 o'clock, yeah. And I suppose it must have been the end of the... They were clapping like mad, you know. And then they heard the news. Somebody came on and said, you know, could you just listen? You just heard he's died.
But although he touched the hearts of people across the world, it is South Africa that is hurting the most tonight. For Mandela was South Africa and meant so much to those in the country.
The man, the symbol, what he's done for me, for my family, for the country, it's very hard to put into words.
And as they prepare to say their final farewells, the singing and dancing continues. Peter Stefanovic, 9 News, Johannesburg.
And tonight, Peter Stefanovic is outside Nelson Mandela's home in Johannesburg, and he filed this report a short time ago.
Well, we are outside the Nelson Mandela family home in Johannesburg, which is where he died around about 36 hours ago, and it's where there's been a steady stream of people coming down here and leaving flowers and paying respects, writing messages and cards and leaving them on a fence outside the home at the moment. And I've got to say the mood is really quite cheerful. The pictures that you're seeing around South Africa at the moment of people singing and dancing is exactly what you're seeing here. You might be able to see it behind me at the moment, because Nelson Mandela's death didn't really come as a great shock. People knew that he was 95 years old. He was very frail. And now the overwhelming feeling is that Nelson Mandela is now finally free.
Thank you very much, Peter. Well, Nelson Mandela's farewell will cross divides with world leaders past and present to join ordinary people as the world says goodbye in one of the biggest farewells in history.
His was a life devoted to bettering the lives of every South African, so it's fitting that everyone has a chance to say goodbye to their Madiba.
That the former president will be accorded a state funeral
It will be a long farewell to the man who united a deeply fractured country. 10 days of mourning will combine both native and Western traditions. Sunday will be an official day of prayer and reflection, involving special religious services. On Tuesday, a huge public memorial will be held at a soccer stadium in Soweto. Mandela's body will then lie in state for 3 days at the Union Buildings in Pretoria. And on Sunday the 15th, a state funeral in the village where he grew up. Kunu is on the country's Eastern Cape. The funeral will take place in the hills where he played as a child, and he'll be laid to rest in a burial ground where some of his family members already lie. Among the dignitaries travelling to South Africa to pay their respects will be US President Barack Obama and First Lady Michelle, former Presidents George W. Bush and Bill Clinton, and representing Australia will be Prime Minister Tony Abbott and Opposition Leader Bill Shorten. Celebrities Bono and Oprah are also expected to join mourners. The public memorial in Soweto, on the outskirts of Johannesburg, will hold a special significance of its own. FNB Stadium is where Mandela made his final public appearance in July 2010 at the World Cup final. When Mandela's body arrives in Pretoria, it will return to the Union Buildings where the country's first black president was inaugurated in 1994.
The remains of our beloved Madiba will lie in state where he served as the first president of this young democracy.
And Australian flags will be flown at half-mast on the day of Nelson Mandela's memorial. Some Labor MPs questioned the government's decision not to lower the flags yesterday following Mandela's death. However, Tony Abbott has said the mark of respect will be paid on Tuesday.